Hey friends, it's Laura with Laura B. Flosstube. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome or welcome back. So I am so excited. This is Flosstube 43. It's October 23rd, 2023. Hopefully you don't mind me doing this a day early because I've been a little busy and yet I have a break today. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get this done. So right now I am at 3,599 subscribers. Oh my gosh. I feel like it was a week ago when I was like, oh my gosh, if I ever get to 1,000, I'm going to be so happy. And now I'm almost at 3,600. That is crazy. So thank you so much to everyone who has been following me and liking the videos, sharing my stuff out. That is like the best thing ever. And I really appreciate your help. All right, so today I am going to talk about cross stitch. I'm going to talk about quilting. I'm going to give you a life update. And I'm going to give you some information about an upcoming sew along that I'm going to do. All right, so first up is cross stitch. All right, so last time I was so close to having the Houses of Peppermint Lane completed. That's by Pansy Patch Quilting and Stitchery. And I am so happy that I will be able to reveal my finished work today. It is not framed, but it is finished. So I'm going to swing you around so you can see what the finished product looks like. Okay, so there are my houses on Peppermint Lane. I am so excited with how this turned out. It looks so good as a finished piece, you guys. It is huge though. It is, I think, 18.5 wide by 15 inches tall. So my frame's going to be a little big too, of course, but that's okay. I'm so happy with how this turned out. The colors look amazing. The lines are so pretty. The border, oh my gosh, I love the border. I love the different borders at the top of each house. And yet I love how the dividers give it a little consistency between rows, and the borders on the sides and bottoms of each house, they kind of alternate between pattern. So really there's only 3 different ones, but they're just repeated on each row in a different order. So it really gives interest and flow, but yet a consistent feel to the project. Love. So the only thing that I did after I finished the Christmas house, I did go back and I unstitched the lighter color on the sugar cookie house. On the title, the lighter color was just not showing up very well when you stood back from a distance, and that was going to bug me to no end. So I did go back and unstitch those letters and stitch it with a darker color. It's still a color that's in the design, so it wasn't like I, changed anything there. And I'm really happy that I did that, and I'm so thankful that this is finally finished, and I'm going to get my frame ordered, get it framed, get it up on the wall just in time for the holidays. So I really feel like even after the holidays, I'm going to find a spot to put this because it's just too cute to pack away for 11 months each year. But yeah, so let me know if you're working on this one as well and where you're at, or if you finished it, if you framed it. Tag me on Instagram and let me see. I would love to see some other one piece, like all the, like this design where all of the houses are in one piece. I would love to see how you finished it, what your framing looks like, because I need some ideas on a frame color. I'm not really sure how I want to go with it, but I know that it has got to be done soon because it's just going to drive me crazy if I haven't been able to see this in a frame. So there's my first finish. Houses of Peppermint Lane. Again, this is a design by Pansy Patch Quilting and Stitchery. Love it. And I cannot wait to get started on Houses of Pumpkin Lane, which is kind of, it's a stitch along with Fat Quarter Shop next year. Although I think I'm going to just start it and kind of go at my own pace with it. Kind of how I ended up doing this one. All right, so like I mentioned, this was my first finish that I'm sharing because after I got the Christmas house done, I feel like I was just like rejuvenated or something. My cross-stitching mojo came back. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this fabulous finish. I no longer have this one hanging over my head, I guess. But there were a couple other small projects I wanted to do. So we talked last time, and I will tell you which design I am doing next for my large project, but in the meantime, I did a couple smalls. So this is the first one, and this is fabric by Fabric Flair. Now I went to look up this fabric, and I can't find it for sale anywhere. You might be able to find it like on Etsy or eBay or something like that. But this is from Fabric Flair. It was one of a set of 4 of the mason jars they printed. And I bought this individually from, I don't even remember, a vendor at the Needlework Galleria in St. Charles last year. So it may be hard to find. So hopefully, but anyway, so what I did was I used a pattern from the Petal pusher called Pussy Willows. And I just used the large single design to put in the middle of the jar. And then my alphabet is actually a free alphabet design through Fat Quarter Shop. It's a Lori Holt alphabet set. So you'll be able to just go download that for free if you're interested in doing those letters. And I wish I could tell you that I had a plan with this, but I really didn't. I just started with Z and I worked my way backwards up through the alphabet, hoping that all my letters would fit. I mean, talk about a chance. I took a chance. But then when I got up here to M, I was like, hey, I can like get some more letters in here and then it will be awesome. And I'm just wondering, yep, I'm just like, wait a minute, did I forget a letter? But I didn't. So I guess when I got up to J, I was like, oh, I have 9 letters left. And I just kind of eyeballed it and went ahead and stitched the first 9 letters of the alphabet, which were actually the last 9 letters that I stitched on the design. So this I'm going to frame. I'm probably going to give it away as a gift. I'm not really sure. I have a couple people in mind. But this one I think is I'm going to give away. And yeah, so there's another finish. Whoops. There it went. It's like, I am finished. All right, so my second finish, if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen this one as well. Super excited to have this one done. It's the 2023 Prairie Schooler Santa. Oh, sorry about that glare there. Oh, right, there we go. The 2023 Prairie Schooler Santa, stitched this on a 14 count Dirty Ada with the called for DMC. I didn't change anything in this design. And, oh, I did change one thing. I didn't change any of the colors in the design. The one thing I did change was I put the date down here in the lower corner. And I tell you what, it was hard to find a spot on this design to put that year in there. I could not believe, I mean, it's just such a beautiful design and there's snowflakes everywhere, which I love snowflakes. But there was kind of hard to find a place to put the year. But anyway, I found a place and it works great. And now I have 13 Santas completed. So this year, this was the 40th Santa they've released. So I have quite a few yet to stitch, but I'm working my way kind of forwards and backwards. So my next up is like 1990, I think, 91 maybe. Let me look real quick. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. I'm working backwards. So I'll do the 2016 and then my next is 1990. So basically what I'm doing with that is I went oldest and then newest, and then I'm going oldest, newest, oldest, newest, oldest, newest, except when the new year, like the current year comes out, and then I like throw that one in a mix. So like I said, I have 27 more Santas to go. So that's a lot of stitching. And I actually need to buy some more Dirty Ada because I want them to be all on the same cloth. And I'm almost out. I cut the last piece that I have, so I have enough for 4 more Santas, and then I am done with that cloth. All right, so I do have 3 other cross-stitch projects kitted up. I haven't touched any of them. So I have the Featherweight Stitch by Margaret Lee that's kitted up, and I'm probably about 40% done with that one. It's just really difficult for me to get excited about doing that one because it's 18 count and I don't like the cloth. So it's hard for me to like really get excited about that one. But it'll get done at some point. I also have the Pinker and Pumpkin, which I'm just gonna say I fail. I was gonna do one of those houses, of those salt box houses every month this year, and I am like probably 3 or 4 months behind. So I'm a salt box failure. I love the ones I completed. I have the fabric dyed for the one that's in my bag. That's supposed to be the next up, but I think it was like the June or July house. So it's just hanging out there, and I will eventually get back to doing it. I really believe that the houses on Peppermint Lane kind of burnt me out on houses for a little bit. So like I said, I'll do it at some point, but for right now, it's just hanging out and waiting for me to feel the urge to pick it up. And then the last one is the Summer Memories. I have one of those designs left that I want to complete, and it's kitted up and everything too, but it's just hanging out in the bag. But what I am going to be doing, and I haven't kitted it up yet, I just pulled the chart, and that's all I've done. I plan on pulling the colors probably tonight, actually. I got to pull the cloth and the colors so I can get started on this. I am going to do Prim and Proper. Now, I am going to change this a little bit. There are 16 floss colors listed for this design. I'm still going to use 16 colors, but I think I'm going to use my Anchor floss. So I'm just going to go into my Anchor floss bins, and I'm going to pull 16 colors that are similar, but not the called for DMC or the Aura floss that it calls for on the back of the design. So I'll keep you posted on what colors I choose out of the Anchor floss colors for the Prim and Proper design. In addition to that, so that's going to be my big project. My next small, besides the Santa, which I might actually start the Santa tonight. But the other small is also a Christmas design out of Joyful Christmas by Romina Petrucci. And I am going to do Hot Cocoa Season. My mother-in-law gives me a couple packets of hot cocoa each year in my stocking for Christmas, and I love hot cocoa. I rarely make it, but I love it. And I just thought this would be a really cool little quick design to do for Christmas, and I cannot wait to start and finish it. I plan on stitching this on a Lugana cloth. I think I have some wheat Lugana. This design isn't that big. It's like, let's see, they did it on a 16 count. On a 16 count, it was 4.5 by 3. It's 80 wide and 54 high. So it's not that big. And I know I have some wheat Lugana left. So I think I'm probably just going to stitch this on a wheat Lugana. I might actually pull out the Anchor flosses for this one too, just to make sure that brown is dark enough to show up on the wheat and doesn't fade in. So those are my 2 planned projects for cross stitch. And I really feel like I want to downsize a little bit on how many cross stitch projects I have going at once. I know at one point I had like 6 different things going at one time, and it became a little overwhelming, and it shouldn't be overwhelming. So I want to kind of simplify where I'm at and how many of those I'm taking on at once. Plus that way I get through them a little faster and I can still get to them. It's not like you're doing less, it's just you're doing less at a time. So that is my cross stitch plans. All right. So let's transition to quilt talk. Okay, so some quilty talk. The blocks that you see on my design wall there are the Moda Blockhead 5 blocks. It's the first 7, basically, they've released. Block 8 comes out this week. Now, it's actually block 7 that comes out because remember the first was a bonus block. So it's like the first 6 blocks. And then block 7 will be out this week, and then there's 2 more after that because there are 9 blocks in this little mini Blockheads run this fall. I have not decided on a setting yet. I'm going to wait and see what they suggest and then decide if I like that or if I want to go with something different. I will say the block, which is on the lower left-hand side, the bottom block down there, love it so much. It's so beautiful. Those are actually all hourglasses. I saw someone that was like, oh, I did this all with flying geese, which you could totally do. But I did go ahead and follow the directions, and I used hourglass blocks for that, for the outside border. I love how it turned out. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So I would suggest if you're doing hourglass blocks that you either use the Tucker Trimmer 2 or you get a square ruler that is the size of the block that you are wanting to square up to, and then it's a lot easier to center those hourglasses and get a nice clean cut for assembly, because you definitely want to make sure those are the right size before you go to assemble the outside of that block. In addition to that quilt that I have going on the design wall, I did finish Hometown. And I know I'm a couple weeks early, or a week early, I think. But I am so excited. The quilt top is done. It looks gorgeous. And I thought I might get it quilted this last weekend, but I just ran out of steam. If you see this stack here, so I took 6 of these little quilts with me to my brother's to quilt, and I quilted all of those, and then I quilted the Be Vintage quilt. I don't have pictures of anything because I finished them up today, but I will put a picture here. This is the Hometown quilt top. So excited with how it turned out. And I know that I've had a few questions about like, well, how are you doing these blocks before the pattern's released? And the thing is, with these applique quilts, you have a lot of the information. You have the cutting guide and you have photos of the quilt. So you can kind of look at the cutting guide, you can do all of your shapes, you can turn them out, and then you know the blocks are going to be a certain size at the end. So you can kind of lay it out. So it may not be spot on, and it probably isn't like to the T, the exact same inches that Lori Holt is going to be using on her design, but it's close enough for me. And I'm really happy with some of the alterations that I did for it. And I'm just glad that it's done because I have other things that I want to do too. So Hometown is done. Love it, love it, love it. And then the other exciting quilt news that I have is that I was able to deliver my So Simple Shapes king size quilt that I did for my brother and sister-in-law and revealed that it was for them. So that was super fun. So I took it with me and I was like, hey, so I brought you your quilt. This is what I made for you. And I feel like my brother was really touched. My sister-in-law was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to put this on the bed. And so she had to change her sheets and everything, which I felt bad about that, but I totally get it. I'm the same way. If I put a clean quilt on my bed, the bed linens are all getting washed and cleaned before a new clean quilt goes on the bed. So anyway, she did all of that and got the quilt on the bed. And as you can see, it's actually their daughter's cat, their grand cat. But their grand cat found her spot up by the pillow and snoozing on the So Simple Shapes quilt. So I'm so happy that I was able to do that for them, and it looks gorgeous on their bed. So I'm happy they were excited too. All right. So let's see, I told you about Hometown, Be Vintage. I don't have a picture of the finished quilt for that one yet, just because it's finished. Well, it has the binding on it, and I sewed the sleeve down because I'm going to hang this one in my living room at some point. I need all the buttons sewn on. So as soon as I get all of that, then I will take a picture of it hanging and get a picture inserted on one of my upcoming floss tubes. And let's see, I also showed you the Moda Blockhead. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about today is the Bloom Sew Along. Oh my gosh, I am so excited about this. So I announced, oh goodness, I think it was last week actually, that Lori Holt did a sew along in 2016, and it's So Simple Shapes Set A. Go check out that video because I tell you a lot of information about it. But I am so thrilled with how many people are like, I'm gonna join. So there should be a lot of us making the Bloom quilt here pretty soon. I'm going to officially start the Bloom quilt on the week of November 5th. I have been recording a few little videos on just how I'm preparing for it. Some tips and tricks that I've just found after doing so many of these applique quilts that work for me. I hope that you can pick up some tips and tricks as well. And I hope you join me. It's going to be super cute. So this is a picture of the Bloom quilt. And like I said, the Be Prepared week is November 5th. So that's when you'll want to, cut your fabrics, get your backgrounds cut, get all your shapes traced, figure out what is going to work for you. I have posted a video on just an overview of the sew along. I've also posted a video about cutting backgrounds and just some modifications that I'm doing for that. I also posted a video on the So Simple Shapes on tracing those and how I go about doing that part of my organization. So I'll have a few more videos coming out. I do have a playlist set up on my channel, so you can go and check out the whole playlist and just go and watch one after another. And I'll leave those forever, so you'll be able to jump in whenever you can. So that is all about the Bloom Sew Along. Super excited to see so many people that want to sew along with me. And so there is a hashtag, and like I said, all that stuff is in those videos, so just go check those out. Alrighty, So I'll give you a quick life update. My husband and I have been having some fun at some car shows, going to some concerts, all kinds of fun stuff. And we've also had a few game nights with friends. Went and watched the Kansas City Chiefs games yesterday with some friends and had some good snacks. So it was a great time. Classes are going well. I am taking a front-end analysis class for my master's program. And then I just started a Canvas class too. So anyone that, if you've taken an online class, you may have used Canvas as a student side. So I'm learning like the educator side of Canvas. So that's been interesting so far. And I feel like I'll be able to work ahead in that class. So that should take some stress and anxiety off of my life because my husband laughs at me, but I get so stressed out about feeling like I'm behind even when I'm not. Because like right now, I'm basically like a week ahead. But at the same time, I'm like, I should get ahead like a little bit more in one of these classes so I have even more breathing room. And he's just like, oh my gosh, you're already a week ahead. Why is that not good enough for you? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just who I am. So it's part of the process. It's part of the process. Otherwise, I wouldn't have time to craft, right? So you got to get your priorities straight and make sure you know how much time you want allotted to things that you want to do for fun. Anyway, all right. So I think that's it. I feel like I'm talking really fast today, and for that I apologize. I will try to slow it down. Maybe like slow me down. You can slow down the speed of the video, so maybe just do that. That's all I have for today. Until next time, I hope you're able to find some time for some stitching and some quilting or whatever crafty goodness you want to get into. I hope you have a great start to your fall, and I hope you take some time for yourself. And don't forget, happy stitching.